Hi, my name is Rowan Arundel, and I'm an assistant professor in Geographic Information Systems at the University of Amsterdam. I'm here on a rooftop from a high vantage point in Amsterdam, relatively high in the Amsterdam case, and I think this is a good analogy to explain a little bit the perspective of mapping. Mapping, of course, looks at different scales, but it often looks from a bird's eye view, from up above, understanding the city, and it also takes in very clearly, explicitly, the idea of space. In my chapter, I take the idea of who owns the city, which is sort of the motivating question of the book, and I approach it from a GIS spatial angle, and I think really in terms of space in the city, traveling through the city. When we think of space, how is it allocated in terms of ownership? So I would argue that GIS, and I argue in my chapter, plays a role in itself to answer the explicitly spatial questions, macro level questions, quantitative questions, or detailed level mapping questions. It can also bring together quantitative and qualitative data in interesting spatially mixed methods where, of course, they have a spatial element that unites them. But it can also play a role in a wider research program implemented with other methods. If we were examining the allocation of the space explicitly in terms of, for example, road users, we might want to go into a more in-depth analysis beyond the official data set, beyond the first questions that my spatial analysis raises, to understand who is actually using this space, how are official allocations of space actually contravened by different users of the space. We can simply look at sidewalks in Amsterdam to realize that there's quite a lot of official pedestrian space that is taken over by, as you will notice, bikes parked everywhere, other types of street furniture, objects, which can be quite an obstacle course for the official users of that space. So GIS brings in those initial questions, answers the spatial quantitative question, but it also raises a lot more questions to understand in depth from different angles, what does that really mean to have that allocated space in the city, and from a spatial perspective and from a mixed methods perspective.